sound like a lot of numbers, but when we have to verify and we have to keep records that we've warned this person, we get new people coming in all the time, and we would hope that we would be allowed to just go ahead and cite and then arrest after. But we have to document each warning. We have to get a criminal report generated for that so that we have documentation. So it is a very trying process. We're also working on trying to find a place to take all of this property that they have. Okay, you might think that all we do is just arrest the individual. We're also responsible for every piece of property that they have, where we're going to put it, where we're going to keep it. Okay, so we're working those things out. And again, we have to follow the law. Okay, I understand that it's unsightly. I understand that there's a lot of problems, a lot of concerns. We get complaints not only here, but through the mayor's office, through the governor's office, and we have to respond to them. Okay? A lot of times people don't understand that there's a time period for the camping law. All right? I try to get my officers to make sure that the pavilions are clean, but they cannot just push these people out.
I know that Councilmember DeJu is proposing a new amendment to the bill that's going to take the hours away for Kapiolani Park. And in your mind, do you think that's going to help at all?
Well,
I mean, or is this going to be, well, we still have to deal with paperwork and accounting for the inventory and
well, anytime somebody is arrested, whether they're illegal camper or if it's somebody in a car stop or somebody we see on the street, whatever property that they have, we have to itemize it, and we become responsible for it. So it doesn't really matter if it's a camper, although they generally have more stuff, because before, when we had the previous law, they weren't allowed to have all this stuff with them. So they were traveling light. But with this law that we have now, they're able to kind of squat. And because they're not made to get out of the park like they do at Ala Moana, then they tend to stay in one location, and they tend to gather things.
But if they're staying in the same location, it kind of goes against what you're saying, is that these new people are coming in. Then if they're staying, then you should be able to cite them the next day. If you're giving them a warning, the next day they're still there,
yeah, but
you cite them.
They gotta be sleeping from 10 to 5 in the morning. They can't be sleeping in that area. 5 o'clock in the morning, they can sleep anywhere they want. Okay, that's the law. How we can't enforce what isn't on the law. Okay, so and we've talked about this how many times already. We've explained it to everybody, and we get complaints from people saying, well, we saw this, we saw that. Well, if they bring it up to our attention and they're willing to be a witness, okay, then
and that's where I want this gentleman to come in. I know you want to keep this silent, but this is just the indication of why this problem is getting so bad, and it's getting worse. And when he comes up to try to get some help, he doesn't get it.
Like I explained to you, okay,
would you please come up?
If he wants to make it into progress, I already explained to him that I'm going to go and find out who was there.
And that's great. I appreciate it. But I mean, I think he needs to tell the story of what he did, the problem that he had, and it deals with how bad the problem is getting, the aggression that they're having, the vagrants are having, and then the lack of response that's coming in return. So
okay, you're talking about one incident.
This is one person that's willing to come up. I'm not saying.
Okay, fine. Like I've been telling you, we're not denying that we're getting complaints. Okay, but this is one incident that you're talking about. How about all the other incidents where we have done things? Okay, you're talking about illegal camping. What about burglary?
18 citations is not.
What about other things that we've been doing? Okay.
A lot of bicycle citations on the sidewalk. That's what you're getting a lot of.
Well, we have complaints about that. We got complaints about everything, okay? It's easier to give one on the bike, right?
But this is the one that's going to really hurt the image of Waikiki, and I think you know that. I think everyone here knows that, and I think the excuses are getting old. They're getting really old.
It where it'll make difference. We enforce the law. That's it, period.
I guess I wanted to follow up on Robert's question also, and certainly if this gentleman wants to come up, I'd like to hear him too. But I guess the question that I had was twofold. One is, Does the law actually require that you give a warning before the citation?
Prosecutors require that we give them a warning if they haven't been given a warning before. So it takes some time for the officers to go back and check.
So the law, that's not the law.
That's what
because
the
prosecutor wants
require,
that.
yes.
And I guess, you know, we had a long discussion at the Waikiki Residents Association last week about this, and I wonder if it would be a good idea for us to have the prosecutor here or somebody from their office at the same time that you're here next time, because I think one of the concerns that came out at our meeting was a sense that perhaps you're putting it on the prosecutors, and so I'd be very curious if the prosecutor were to come in here and say, well, it's the police who are not doing this or doing that. So I'd like to see both.
Just could have called Carlisle and asked him to send whoever's in charge of that division.
Okay, could we do that, Chair?
That's a good idea.
And then if this gentleman wants to come up and tell his story, I think that would be perhaps illuminative.
I'd like to do a little follow-up, Bob.
Hello. I'm sorry, this story is told already. The gentleman did already. I'm just wondering, what is the difference between the Kapiolani Park and the Ala Moana Park? They can clean up Ala Moana Park night, and they cannot do that in Waikiki. What's the difference?
Ala Moana has hours.
I'm sorry?
Good question.
Did they close it? Isn't
That's
that
a
the
very
case?
good question.
Oh, they closing. I understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you
But
so
that's
much.
a good point. The Kapiolani Park should be closed to camping, period. And believe it or not, camping, even though everybody thinks is the problem, is actually the answer, which I told everybody. Designated camping areas for families and people that are homeless with the camping permit. And I said this 3 months or 4 months ago. Camping by permit should be a great temporary home with the social services, the city and county maintaining the toiletries and all the facilities at the park. Camping is the answer. It's also the problem, but it's the answer to address some of this homeless stuff. Thank you.
Sir.
With all due respect to the captain, as I've stated every month for the last couple of years, I'm down here at the beach every morning, every day of the week. At least once every 2 weeks, I come down in the middle of the night so that I'm here between 10 at night and 5 in the morning. Now, I agree with the captain that the pavilions themselves have been somewhat cleaned up, as long as it doesn't rain, because all of the people that were in the pavilions are now sleeping on the beach just on the other side of the wall. Any night that it rains, any morning when it's raining, if you go down to that beach, you'll find them scattered out throughout all of the pavilions. And they all meet the requirements in violation of the camping law. Now, there's a couple that are sleeping down there directly across from the Pac Beach. They've been there for 2 months. They have a female brown pit bull off-leash that sleeps between them on the beach. Their beds are left on the beach all day long, 24 hours a day, unless it rains. The other 13 people that sleep on the beach next to them, all of their materials are just on the other side of that wall, down toward the locker end, across the street from the Cheeseburger in Paradise. If you look over the edge, or if you're a tourist walking down the beach, all you see is plastic bags and their packs and everything lined up against that wall. So I disagree with the captain, the fact that they're not new people. These are the same 15 to 20 people I see there every night. And the younger people in the 20 to 25 age group sit down at the last 2 tables by the lockers, and they do drugs and they harass the tourists all day long. And unfortunately, I do not see any officers come down there. It used to be that there would be beach patrol come through there every now and then. For the last month or so, I'm usually there in the afternoon playing cards, and we see no officers. So I'm sorry, but the same people are there night after night after night, and I see no change. And they're sleeping there at 3 o'clock in the morning, just as well as they're sleeping there at 5:30 in the morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ray.
I've been trying to push for going on 11 years now the use of a universal summons. And I always have to keep reverting back to New York City because that's where I'm from. The universal summons is maybe 4 inches longer than the existing summons here I've seen in Hawaii. On the back of a universal summons, if the state would think about it or use it, is about a 2-inch space where John Q. Citizen, after he calls 911 and makes an observation of anything, be it a violation, a misdemeanor, or a felony, can write in or tell the officer in not so many words, civilian terms. The officer can write in the section for a misdemeanor or a violation. If it's a felony, then the officer doesn't have to witness it. He can